with a pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Haymore.
Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any disclosures or declaration of conflicts from any commission members?
I own chickens.
You own chickens?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, I guess.
and we are talking
I
about
do,
chickens
yeah,
tonight.
but I'm in agricultural, so I don't know if it applies.
Is it a conflict of interest if I have grand chickens?
No, I think you're okay,
Okay.
as long as they're not at your house.
No.
Okay, we're going to do an oath of office next for Angela Harrison, who is our new commission member, and Lonnie Christensen, who is our new alternate. And Glenn Levitt is not here. We'll take care of that in August, right? Okay.
Okay, let's stand up and raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
That I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the
and the Constitution of the State of Utah.
and that I will discharge the duties
And I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of
of my office with fidelity.
Okay, congratulations to both of you. We're
Looking for
happy
a
to have you
nod.
on the commission. Okay, I need an approval of the agenda order, if someone would like
I
to.
move that we approve the agenda in its current order.
A second?
Okay, we have to vote on that?
Yes.
Okay. Angie, let's start with you.
Aye.
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 Okay, agenda order is approved. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting, June 12th meeting?
Yes.
Anyone have any problems?
Nope.
Any questions? Any?
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as posted.
I second.
Okay, and
Aye.
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 Okay. Reviewed and approved. We'll now have some reports, starting with myself. We have deemed it necessary to have another meeting this month on July 23rd because of the 24th being a holiday. So it'll be Tuesday, the 23rd, so that we can stay on top of stuff coming from the attorney. We've got 3 or 4 more ordinances, right, that we need to look at. So in an effort to stay on top of things, we decided to do that. So just to make sure everyone knows that. Do any of the planning commissioners have anything they want to report on?
Nope.
Okay. Darren.
So as you guys know, we're looking at planning and zoning administrator. We're looking for that position still in the city to replace Sense Riker. That's just a little bit of a lag in our processes, but with help of all the staff, I'm able to cover some of those things. We are continuing to move forward with everything. As Commissioner Chairman was talking about, as we have some of those items that are ready for next planning commission meeting. That's why we're holding that as well, to continue with that. The one thing on our capital facilities, the Westfield Road Park restroom is finished. They are actually kind of locked right now because we ordered the locks so that'll turn on and off and unlock. So we're moving forward with that. We're continuing to move forward with the rest of the design. Next phase of the park is it's the
Pickleball court?
not the pickleball courts, the pavilion, sorry. Why that slipped my mind, but we're the pavilion and some of the grass is kind of our next phase. So putting that together, trying to coordinate all of that. The other thing we were just talking about, I do appreciate, last week was such a short week. A lot of things came down on us, so we were not able to get your packets until Monday. But that should be an exception, not the rule. So you have that, and appreciate your patience with the short staff.
And we do appreciate all that you guys do, so thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. And we're trying to, as you guys requested, we're trying to get all of these packets and the things ready so that you guys have the weekend before to be able to review all of that. And so we try not to, your meetings are very time sensitive. And when we come to a certain point deadline, we cut it off and we stop putting things in your packets and stuff so that you guys have time. Same thing with our applications. There's deadlines. Everything is kind of everything is time sensitive. So we try to do that so that you guys have the information. It's we're not showing up the night of or the day before trying to put more stuff in your packets. And we hear that and realize that you guys need time. So with that, I think that we're just moving forward. So appreciate your patience. Things are getting a little bit hectic for me. And they're gonna move forward. We're moving forward and things are great. So if you have any questions for me.
Is it okay to mention that we're also looking for a city manager?
Yeah. The city manager is out for anybody that would like to put in for city manager. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to Matt Eakins, our city attorney.
Yeah, one quick item, and it'll probably come up for some more discussion later in the agenda. The last city council I met, attended with the city council, there was some input on the grading ordinance. We were looking at the policy of the grading ordinance and whether or not there was interest in having the ordinance adopt the policy requirements that had been outlined. And as we talked through and got input from the council, the consensus was to keep the policy as a policy and not incorporate it into the town code, really for the purpose of if there are changes, it's a lot easier to adopt a policy by one council meeting as it's presented by staff versus if it's integrated in the town code, then to change that requires the planning commission, public notice, and it's a much more intensive process.
Right.
So that was helpful guidance as we've considered policy changes and the pending motion, or not the pending motion, but the motion said, hey, let's take the grading ordinance back and look at a few things, which this body has been looking at and up for an initial discussion. And then Daisy has reached out. She wanted to meet with me today, but my schedule had a mediation that I didn't have enough time, but we'll be meeting tomorrow and going over some more specifics on the grading ordinance. So I think we'll probably, I don't know if it'll be July 23rd, but certainly by August, I think we'll have a formal recommendation, at least from the staff and from me as council, what to do with any ordinance change. So far, it's just been discussion items, but I think we'll be ready to look at ordinance potential changes and recommendations moving on to the council.
For the grading ordinance.
Correct.
So do we continue that until the 23rd, or do we still have some discussion about it and talk about it today?
No, I think there's some items that the planning commission has brought up and discussed before that can still be discussed and addressed today. We'll just be adding to that. I think we'll be close to having an ordinance for recommendation and moving along.
Okay. Sounds good. We will now move on to a presentation by Derek Hall from IME Automation.
Good evening. Do you have the videos in case we want to have those? Is that possible? I'm not being with you. I don't know if we need to get to that. In Darren's comment about keeping things short and sweet, that's what I'm here to do. I just have a few words to say, talk about who we are, because we're also on the agenda for other reasons. IME Automation, We are an integration company. And what that means is that we integrate robotics and automation systems into the manufacturing processes of local and actually coming up soon global companies. What we do is we are authorized integrators for FANUC, which is the world's largest robotics manufacturer. And so we implement their robots into our systems, and we help people in any number of ways automate their manufacturing. Actually, so I don't forget anything I happen to have said or thought about, a couple of points. So we started the company about 3 years ago in my father's backyard garage, 850 square feet with 2 employees. And today we filled out over 3,500 square feet today with 16 employees. And we're growing very, very rapidly. So we have the global partnership with FANUC. We're using our robots. Additionally, we are authorized OEMs for Domino printers, which is the industrial arm for Brother printers. We use their printing equipment to print in the manufacturing process, to print such as barcodes and dates and other data on packaging and other things. Additionally, we've just recently become the automation arm for Hewlett Packard. So it's very, very exciting. We actually met with them and beat out 19 other competitors. And we have just barely returned from Germany with Hewlett Packard. So we're just getting that ball rolling, but that's an exciting thing that we're going to be pursuing. And we're going to be placing robots on the input and the output of their large industrial printing presses. And so there's a lot of exciting growth and a lot of really neat global partners that we've created over the last 3 years that really make us kind of shine. The way we got started, when I approached my friend Leo Wright, who lives here in Laverton, I live in Laverton, I said, Leo, what's your dream? What would you like to do? Because I knew he was really smart. And he said, well, I've always wanted to own an integration company. And I said, that's great. What is that? I had no idea. We got the ball rolling, and he invented a little tool to help erect small cartons, like what your eye drops come in on the shelf, come in little cardboard cartons. Those come and are supplied to the manufacturer flat in a big box, hundreds of thousands of them. We take that flat carton with a robot, we pick it up, we push it against some tooling and erect it and make it ready for product. It's a very, very simple thing, but doing that gave us a niche in the packaging world that kind of really got this snowball rolling. And in the beginning, it rolled a little small, a little slow, but now it's picking up steam pretty fast. Our 3,500 square feet is, we're at the max. We're actually bursting into seams. So we want to build a 10,000 square foot building here in Tokerville, and that brings us to this meeting tonight. But in a nutshell, to keep it short and sweet, that's kind of who we are. If I could show the first video, if that's possible. Oh, no, excuse me, correction, the second video, I apologize. This one right here. This robotic cell is in Sun Warrior in Laverton, and what that's doing is picking up the totes of protein powder and putting it in the box. When it right in front of on our side of the protein powder lining up right there, you see 2 vertical gray bars. Those are the Domino printers. We're printing on the bottom of the totes, and then it gets put into the box, and then there's some silver boxes on the other side of the white table that will print barcodes and shipping labels and everything else on the side of the box. So we put all of that together and automated their system for them. They were struggling to keep enough staff to run a single shift. Now they run 2 shifts, and they're able to double their output for the whole time. If we could go to the 4th video, please. That one right there isn't the one I was thinking of. This is a good example. This is the first system we designed, the very first one. That's showing it folding up the cartons. And if we can skip to the next one, we'll keep it short. This one right here is actually in a company in Ephraim that sells bars of soap as conditioner. It's actually Commissioner Narso. They actually have 2 of these systems in their facility that erect the box. It prints on the box right there when it spins across the top of that black square. It prints on it the date and any other information that they want to put on there. And then it comes out ready to be stuffed with product. And that's essentially what got us started. That system right there is what got us launched. And the rest of it's kind of history. At this point, do you have any questions I could answer for you about who we are?
You said that you want to expand your facility
Yes,
to a 10,000 square foot facility out here.
yes.
And I take it you have that facility location and everything, or?
Yes, well, to that end, we're here. Is it time to get into that part of the agenda?
Not
Not
yet.
Okay,
So-
okay.
Zone change on your agenda.
Yeah.
That's the
I'll
zone thing.
take a seat and turn it back over to you guys, and we can continue that moment when you're ready.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our business items now. Business item F1, discussion and possible recommendation on ordinance 2024.XX, amending and restating Tocqueville City Code 5-1-4, care and keeping of animals and livestock to establish standards for the keeping of chickens. Has everyone had a chance to read over that?
So Chairman, do you want me to kind of?
Oh, yes,
Give a little bit of a background here.
Please.
So in your agenda item sheets, this was actually brought up in the December 13th meeting, 2023. The Planning Commission, they gave staff the direction to essentially for the use of chickens in the residential zones as per it's currently written in the ordinances. So this ordinance, the draft, it removes the chickens from the conditional uses and requirements, and it creates a standard for permitted uses of chickens within the residential zones. This ordinance coincides with the ordinance or the draft amendment allowed uses of in the single family residential district. This is what's the reason we have the next item on your agenda as well, because one ordinance affects the other ordinance. And essentially, as you've got in there, you have that draft of what the staff has put together. This was actually done before me, but I was involved with the changes, the different types of things, and we've had some conversations in that meeting on the 13th that gave us the direction to make these changes as you're seeing. If there's anything else or questions that you have, rather than going down line by line, I hope that you guys have had some time to be able to review this long enough. And if you have questions, I'd be willing to entertain those.
Okay.
I'm new to this, so bear with me and bring me up to speed. The animal ordinance was based on a point system,
Correct.
Right.
based on acreage.
Right.
So that is now being removed.
So the reasoning being behind that was that chickens, the Planning Commission and Val, and I can't remember who was here. We have a pretty new commission since the first of the year, but essentially the chickens were wanted to be a permitted use because they felt that the impact was it wasn't that big of a deal and would not really necessarily need to fall underneath that point system. And you are correct. We're not removing any of that livestock conditions in those point systems. We're just pulling the chickens out of the ordinance and making it basically it's a permitted use.
Sorry, go ahead. What about, there was a part in there on roosters when in residential, is that being pulled out as well?
Correct. The reason what was behind that was being roosters crow early in the mornings. If you have that in your residential areas, it's an annoyance to some people. It's a noise issue. I guess if you have predators, and we also address predators, keeping them in a coop that's predator safe, different things such as that. So we've added some of those things in there. We also were directed at 20 chickens. We've also moved around some of the different things in there. The red line at the bottom that basically talks about the front yard, not having any in the front yard. We just combined it to make sure that it was all in the same place right there on number 9. The chickens must not be in the front yard. This was in this, and this is the existing code. We just moved it from there, restated it, and put it in the highlighted at the top so that it talks about that they must be kept in the rear yard.
So can I just make sure I'm understanding right?
You bet.
So it was a conditional use, like having chickens. So you would have had to have like a little permit and get a conditional use permit. But we're just making it so that all the people who have illegally been having chickens are now legal to just have them as a pet.
It's more of I'm not exactly sure all of the reasons behind that, but I believe some of it was saying, well, I've got to pay X amount of dollars just to have 4 chickens in my backyard.
Yeah.
That was a concern because people are putting 4 or 5 chickens in their backyard to have laying hens or whatever. There was enough concern from the public as well that the planning commission gave us as staff, said, hey, guys, look at this, maybe pulling this out and making it a permitted use, but still keep the same requirements. And here again, with code enforcement, you know, we're trying to keep as you can read, we're trying to keep the pens clean. Obviously, they can't be having a nuisance of smell, different things like that. So that was kind of the background behind where we came from this. Now, with you being able to take a look at it, this is probably the second time that you guys have been able to take a look at it, but you are all new for the most part to this. So essentially, if you have any comments or suggestions, we're welcome to entertain those.
So for clarification, that takes away from that $400 conditional application for a chicken
Yeah.
that everybody was screaming about.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and then it puts it in that it's a permitted use and you don't have to have a conditional use, but it follows the ordinances and you have to comply with the ordinances and everything else.
Right.
I see in the line 9 that you put the chickens must not be in the front yard, no roosters or peafowls in all residential zones. Peafowls are peacocks and they're all over. And I like peacocks. I have 45 acres, but they don't like to stay at my place. But a lot of people do not like peacocks and complain, and you really can't control a peacock unless you put in a big atrium and stuff, and that's 400, 500, 600 square foot atrium or bigger. So how does that really affect the peacocks?
So if you're keep peacocks, things such as that, I guess we could.
I'm just asking.
We actually pulled that out. We did not put it into the new one.
I don't see the
I don't see
peacocks putting in the
anything
new one.
Either.
We only address the chickens. So if you're gonna have peacocks, it falls underneath the regular ordinance.
Mhm.
You have to get a conditional use permit for them.
Okay, because you know you have peacocks down your neighborhood,
I do.
and
Yeah.
I don't enjoy them.
and I know a lot of people that complain about them, but, okay, but they never got put in. So peacocks would have to still go through a conditional use
Yes.
if you were in a residential zone, but if you're in a,
Yeah, so if you look at number 9 there.
yeah, it's taken out.
We actually. To the top.
Just moved it up.
We just moved it up. So it would be a.
In agriculture, it's allowed, but not in residential.
Yeah. So it'd be in the agriculture, so it'd be allowed, it's allowed in agricultural.
Mhm.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, so
Yeah.
the public is aware and everything else, and they're not screaming in. 'Cause
So an R112 lot can have 20 chickens
Correct.
and roosters. Okay.
No, not in
No
residential.
roosters.
No rooster.
So I'm on line 9.
9.
Yeah, it said it's crossed out, no rooster or peafowl in all residential zones.
Yeah, we put this, so if you come up to the one.
In the yellow
top,
section.
In the yellow. What did I miss?
It basically right there.
I have a question about the roosters. What about people who already have roosters?
They would,
Does that mean that they have to?
Get fixed.
actually, if you're pre-existing to this, if you're pre-existing to these changes, they do not affect you.
Oh, okay. That sounds fair.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that. It's in there. It's pre-existing. And there again, through the orders, the sounds, the noises, things like that would be things that would be handled through the nuisance ordinance as well as the code enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah, and to that point, with it pre-existing, it would continue as long as the use is continuous. If there's a break in that, then that grandfathering would end. And if I remember right, I think it's 1 year. If you cease a non-permitted grandfather type use, and you cease that for a year, then you'd have to come back and get a conditional use permit.
I have a question. Under D, 1, it talks about the size of the parcel or set of parcels concerned, e.g. 0.25 acre times 100 equals 25 animal points. Would you explain that to me, please?
Oh, boy.
So you can have, so a cow's worth 25 points.
Right.
So you could
Or a
have a
horse.
cow on a quarter an acre, 1 cow. But if it's on a full acre, you get 100 points. So you could have 4 cows per acre.
No, I don't think so. Because down farther, it says cow, horse, donkey, mule, or similar large animals. Wait a minute.
25
Somewhere it
points.
says that you can't have them on
Anything smaller than?
anything smaller than a half acre, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, these are the things for the livestock. This has nothing to do with the chickens.
Right.
Nothing to do with the
Right.
chickens.
Not where-
Come back and
Yeah.
We would have to revisit this, so what's before you tonight is about the chickens only, not about the livestock.
Right.
The conditional use livestock allowed in a residential zone.
So is that like contradictory to itself,
Yeah,
the
that's-
ordinance?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
That's contradiction because you can have 0.25 1 cow at 0.25 points, but you can't have 1 cow unless you have a half acre.
right.
Yeah, so it's contradictive to its own self.
But we do have to have that point system for smaller animals like the ostriches or goats
I
are lower
understand.
points. So
I
we still have to have
understand.
something that applies to a quarter
The point
acre.
system's fine, but you need to make it match to what the ordinance says. If you got a half a acre, you gotta have, yeah, it just doesn't,
We could make those changes.
Yeah. it's,
I think that's kind of outside the scope of what was addressed to us before, so we did not really pick up on that. We can definitely go back and rewrite some of this
Redo the map.
to include, so then we're actually going to be doing more than just chickens. We're going to go in and actually change to the livestock.
just make it match.
Gotcha.
Is you have the point system on the half acre, but then you allow 1 cow on 25 points, which is a quarter of acre. 1 cow.
Could we just take the
What
e.g. 0.25 acres times 100 out? That little parentheses area?
Could.
Wouldn't that be easiest? And then it would match what's down lower?
So it's on the, I'm just making notes here.
You'd have to look at it.
Matt, what do you think?
There's a couple ways. That could be one of it. One of them, the other one would be saying there has to be a minimum. I mean, these are the calculations, but there has to be a minimum acreage.
Mhm.
So even if you have less than half acre, you say whatever the zoning is, and I can't remember off the top of my head for an ag zoning, it requires a minimum. But if like the ag zone says you have to have a minimum, or a half acre or 1 acre, then that'd be another way is just come in and say, yeah, these are the calculations, but still, for these agricultural uses, you have to have a minimum of 1 acre.
Yeah, it says.
It says a
25.
half acre later. So I feel like the way it is, to me, it's clear that you can't have a cow on a quarter acre because like,
Change however you'd like us to change, but
I think we should focus on chickens though.
I think
Would
we're
it be
getting out
easier
in the
just
weeds a
to-
little bit.
Decide the chickens.
So
tonight.
probably one thing we probably should have just.
Let's just deal with the chickens.
I explained what the changes were. This is on for a public hearing. We probably ought to open the public hearing and then come back to the comments after that.
Okay.
See if there's any other
Yeah.
things might have in the.
Because what I'm reading there, considering the size of the parcel or set parcel concerning AG 0.25 acres times 1 100 equals 25 points. So it says you got to have a quarter of acre, and then it says cows, horses, donkeys, mules, and similar animals are permitted at 25 points. See, that's what I'm saying,
I agree, but
Yeah.
if you keep reading,
Yeah.
it says
the minimum.
you have to have a
Have a
minimum
half
in
acre.
order to be there. So
Yeah.
if you stopped where you stop, I could see the problem. But again, maybe like I said, maybe we're getting out in the weeds just a little bit, and we come back to public comment on the chickens.
Let's go back to open the, go ahead.
Go ahead. If you'd like, we'll make any changes you guys would like. If there are substantial changes, we'll have to come back.
Yeah, okay.
This is a great problem. We're talking about chickens.
Yeah, I know.
This has been for you guys for years.
When I was on planning commission before we wrote this,
Well, this is.
So this
well,
fits
This is
really-
your welcome back.
this is like, I'm back
thing.
to it.
Yeah, ordinance, right. Okay, I'm going to now open the public hearing on ordinance 2024.XX, amending and restating Tocqueville City Code 5-1-4, care and keeping of animals and livestock to establish the standards for the keeping of chickens. So if you would like to
Open
comment on this, please stand up, come to the pulpit and state your name and address.
I apologize. These guys are with me.
Okay, there's obviously nobody here for that.
Okay, great. So if we have no public
No
comments.
pluckers.
Unless you guys want to see some about chickens.
Our audience is full of chickens.
We will close the public comment hearing on discussion item F1. And now would you like to further discuss this?
I make a motion to approve the change.
Can I say something before anyone seconds? I think that 20 feet is too far from a neighboring lot line. Especially on like a quarter acre lot. I see lots of people who have chicken coops pretty close to their neighbor's yard and I don't see it causing problems. I think it should be 5 feet.
But wouldn't they be grandfathered, but then only
The
for a
existing
year,
ones
right?
are grandfathered, but like I was doing the math and looking at it and it makes it so that if you are at a quarter acre, if you were on a quarter acre square lot, you'd have to have your chicken coop like up against the back of your house. And I don't see why the city should make people do that when some people put them on the lot line, like against their fence.
Is it
I
to
agree
help
with what-
offset the nuisance, the noise ordinance? Is
And
that where the
I
20
can
feet
see
comes from?
that. I just don't think it happens often enough and badly enough with chickens that 25 feet is merited. Or 20 feet, excuse me, thank you. I
agree
just
with-
think if we can be less demanding as a city, that's my preference. So, but I'm open to discussion on it.
I agree with Jenny on that. I have neighbors I'm surrounded by neighbors that have chickens, and I think it would be really difficult for them to follow the 20-foot rule on that.
You are in.
Just from staff, I would like to note that I have received calls regarding specifically having chickens like right at the fence line and causing like smells, things like that. And we just
Okay.
refer them to submit a complaint and things like that, but.
To the
it doesn't
enforcement?
stop it as far as them
So
calling in.
on the line, you have had complaints. Do you think 20 feet is, like, could we get away with 5 or is 20 feet is like, make your life easier?
So it's really, where this came from. I spoke with Riker a little bit about how he came up with the 20 feet before he left. And we just took this from other people's codes in the area in Washington County. That's kind of the average of some of them had a little bit more, some had some less. So, this is for you guys to decide whether you want to go smaller or larger, if you want to go less than 20 chickens. If you want to
Yeah, where did the 20 chickens come from? Is this something?
Same thing, as we picked it from other codes, kind of as an average between St. George to Santa Clara, Washington. I think we even went as much as Cedar City. So
Katie loves chickens. And she
You
has
have more than
22
20,
of them
don't
on
ya?
3.5 acres, and I think they're too many for 3.5 acres.
20 would be a lot for.
For a 12,000
quarter
square
acre.
foot lot, I think 20 is a big number.
you do need to realize though that both of you that have made comment, you're in ag zones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So you're okay.
Okay,
Could we strike the 20 feet from that or make
well,
it
you'd have
smaller?
to,
And you have to
Change it.
change
I
everything and
think-
have 3 hearings.
So
Yeah,
your
I think we
motion
could-
would have to change that if that's what this wants to do. It's not a substantial enough change that we would have to
Like
continue it
rediscuss
for
it.
another public hearing. I think it's well within, I mean, there's a setback, it's been defined and proposed, so it wouldn't need to restart the process. It could be an amendment tonight to the motion to recommend.
Mike, I would move to recommend that the city council approve it with the change of moving that 20 to 5 feet. But I don't want to move that unless we want to discuss more if we think that we like the 20 feet or we,
Well, I first off, don't like to micromanage from up here. That's others people's, and I don't want to get in other people's personal liberties. And I do agree, quite a few properties and their rule and everything else. And chickens stink if they don't keep them clean. Horses stink and bring flies if they don't keep them clean. And it's almost a daily, and with this heat and temperature down here, it quadruples the problem. And so I don't have a problem, but I understand we got a lot of irregular lots and things like that. Lots are usually larger. My daughter has chickens in the neighborhood. She's got 3/4 of a lot. Every neighbor complains about them, but she feeds 6 kids and they eat a lot of eggs and things like that. So I think staff has worked. I have no problem with you changing the setback requirements. But I just hate micromanaging or try to micromanage ordinances and everything else.
I think the 20 chickens on a 12,000 square foot lot is a lot. Karen, I don't feel like we need to micromanage. And the setback of 20 feet could be adjusted, I think, down. Would Jason have the time to actually follow through with his workload from an enforcement standpoint on something like this? Or is it going to be something that would be?
aren't these enforced by
overlooked?
complaint?
Really, that's not really what he,
Yeah.
That's not what he's called to do,
that's
right?
not what he does. He doesn't base his complaint, it's based off a complaint. So it's really, if
So if a formal complaint came through, then Jason would.
you would follow
You would
on it.
investigate.
Yeah, he has his.
We don't need a chicken cop. We've got enough coyotes.
okay,
So can I move that we
Suggestions?
recommend that the city council approve it with the change of the distance be 5 feet from a neighboring lot?
how do you feel about 5 feet?
I was
I
gonna
feel good
compromise
about
with
it.
10.
I was going to compromise with 10.
I
Okay,
think 5.
Ken,
Well, just because I know,
we're
well,
micromanaging.
Yeah.
yeah, some of my neighbors and people I know that have chickens, their chicken coop is actually right on the property line or, closer than 10 feet.
and they're grandfathered in.
And yeah, they'll be grandfathered in or just for a year, like,
No,
No,
No, indefinite.
oh,
They don't
indefinite.
have to move
Okay.
it when it's already
all
there.
right, well, I
use.
mean, are you
Yeah.
okay with 10?
I'm okay with 10. Yeah.
Okay,
All right, I move that we recommend that the city council approve this with the change of 10 feet instead of 20 feet on the line in B where it says that.
I second that.
okay, let's call for a vote.
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Aye,
I,
okay. Cool. So. Okay, next business item, F2, discussion and possible recommendation on ordinance 2024.XX, amending and restating Tokerville City Code 10-10A hyphen R-1, single family residential district to create an allowed use table and modify permitted and conditional uses. Darren, do you want to give us some background?
So on your agenda item sheet, the background is basically it's from this coincides, like we said in the last background sheet, is that it coincides with your last ordinance revision about the chickens. Essentially, in that same meeting on December 13, 2023, the planning commission, they gave direction to the staff to draft an ordinance addressing the use of the chickens in residential zones. This ordinance draft adds the use of chickens as a permitted use. This ordinance coincides with the ordinance and draft amending the 5-1-4, care and keeping of animals and livestock. Additionally, this ordinance clarifies the use of single-family dwellings, consolidates the permitted uses and conditional uses into an allowed use table, and removes the home occupations from the permitted use. The table did not exist, and like I say, we removed that home occupation from conditional use as to a permitted use. So,
Okay.
I don't.
We did public hearing on this one too.
What's that?
Public hearing.
We do.
And see if you have any questions on that too.
Okay, we're going to open the public hearing on agenda item F2, the amending and restating the Tokerville City Code 1010A:R1. Any takers? Okay. Okay, I'm going to close the.
Legal, okay with it?
Close the public hearing on this, and anyone have any questions, commissioners?
I think it looks great.
Me too.
I had one question. Where'd my question go? On somewhere. Where is it? Oh, on the permitted use table. Single family dwellings, one per lot per parcel. That was my only question.
Yeah, basically, if you put on single family dwellings, on any residential, unless it is zoned for multi-family,
Uh-huh.
this is basically for, it's for your single family residential. That's why it's one per lot or by parcel.
Okay,
And obviously would have to meet the minimal zoning.
yeah. Okay. Anyone else have a question?
I move that we recommend that the city council approve this one as is.
I second it.
Okay. Let's have a vote.
Aye.
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 All right,
Okay. Okay, next item, business item F3, discussion and possible recommendation on a zone change application submitted by Ronald Dirksen. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's the actual owner of the property. He's not here tonight.
Tax ID number T-3-0-27-47-411. The current zoning is H-C, highway commercial. The proposed zoning is M-1, light industrial. And Darren,
So there was a slight on the actual public notice. The applicant or his agents have asked for that, however, as you see on the actual application, it says highway commercial to BMP zone. They had originally, in their original application, they had requested to the light industrial. The day of we were doing the public hearing, they said, hey, we realize that our use, as you saw in the presentation, fits into the BMP zone. It's actually a conditional, right? Permitted use in that BMP zone. So that's why they're asking for that. Everything is correct in your packets except for the public hearing that went out. So that will be one of the things that we'll be redoing in 2 weeks is the public hearing to have the correct designation from highway commercial to BMP, not light industrial.
so we will not be having a public hearing on it tonight. We'll just discuss it.
We still have the public hearing and listen to discussion if anybody would like to do that, but we will need to put that on because we advertised or without advertised, we posted that incorrectly. And that was something that I overlooked.
So
So-
the neighbor.
So if we did that, we really shouldn't have the public hearing, but we can have discussion.
Somebody's here for tonight though, because we put that out as a public hearing. So if they can only be here tonight, they need to be able to speak to that. And Daisy can explain.
And the letters that went out to the affected property owners was the correct notice. So I didn't receive any emails or anything from them wanting to comment, but it was open and notice for them to speak at this meeting if they had any questions.
Okay.
We still need to honor that.
Okay. So we're going to open a public hearing then on business item F3, the discussion of possible recommendation on a zone change application submitted by Ronald Dirksen. Would any of you like to comment?
I'll just jump up here this time for that.
Okay, state your name and
So, my
address.
name is Derek Hall. I'm a co-founder of IME Automation.
Okay.
Darren, I kind of cut you off. Were you going to say something else? Okay. So as we were talking about, we do have desire to put up a 10,000 square foot building, but we don't fit the highway commercial zoning. We aren't a retail front of any nature. And I recognize there's other things in highway commercial that could go there, but regardless, we are more of, actually the word in the zoning for BMP, the definition, the clean manufacturing, that really defines what we are, because we're taking products off the shelf, be it some of our raw goods, which we take and we cut up and we assemble the cages and the stands and things for these robots. So it's very light and very clean manufacturing. If you look at the map here, another good reason for the BMP is because on the other side of the freeway, I lost his name. What's his name? Jerry Eves, the Eves property up there, he is already zoned as a BMP. So it's not like we're trying to be an island out there in the middle somewhere. I know there's a freeway between us, but we're right there close with everything else. So I'm hoping that this isn't too far of a stretch to allow this zone change to go over to a BMP from the highway commercial. A couple of things just to speak to how I think this benefits the city. There are three things that I could come up with. Number one, having IME Automation in the town of Tokerville brings a quality business that brings quality employees, high-paying jobs. And I think that's something that any community should desire to have in their community. Secondly, and I know this isn't a great big deal, but we do improve the property value of the property, and that might benefit Tokerville to a small degree, plus benefit the values of the properties around. But the third one is, in my mind, the most important for what Tokerville might desire. And that is the idea of if you build it, they will come. And I know that we're not the first business to seek that intersection. We already have the RV park and this truck stop going. But I think the more business that props up right there, the greater it will appeal to other commercial entities to want to set their shop up right there as well, be it retail or something else. As far as our operations go, very clean as far as impact to the neighborhood. We have currently 16 employees, but not all of them show up on a daily basis. A lot of our engineers, matter of fact, these are all engineers for us. Half the time they work from home. So we don't always have a large impact on traffic. We do have commitments to grow. We actually have a commitment with the state of Utah to double our workforce in the next couple of years. So we do want that. But I think that the impact for the community is going to be minimal, and I think it will benefit and bless that section of Tokerville, the Anderson Junction. I think that's about all I have to say about it at this point. Would you have any questions for me?
It's a 9-acre parcel.
6.5.
Oh, 6.5?
Mhm.
And you guys would be using all of it?
No, so what we want is the green piece right there, the 6.5. The red stuff around is all the highway commercial. The purple is a family residence, like this is small, I think that's family. And then so we want to become the BMP, such as the gray at the top corner.
So where's this to the old historical stages?
We're just on the east side of it.
Right next to it. So that's that parcel number. Letter C on it.
So are we protecting those? Are they historical? What's
They're
going?
privately owned, historical. This would not touch it. There's actually a parcel of ground where the well and for that whole for the Anderson Junction area, for their culinary right now, there's a parcel right there that you can see, and that's owned by the Water District, I believe, that piece of ground. So there's,
The flag lot.
yeah, there's like a little flag lot there. So the actual had historical dance hall, whatever that is. That's on a private, I believe that's owned by private property, privately. But yeah, there's not any disturbance to that.
Okay.
So you're butted up to the Water Conservancy on the south?
Yes, so that's correct. So the district owns that flag lot and everything across the frontage road.
Mhm. And then you've got a private residence between
How is-
you and the residential?
So actually there is, that number is a
there is?
deed right there that I can see. Deed
Yeah.
actually has residence on that.
So that's
Oh.
like to that property on the freeway, that's like 35 feet at its narrowest and maybe 75, 80 feet at its widest between that and the residential zoning.
Which one? Oh, you're talking about.
I mean, the northwest corner,
Yeah,
and that's a sliver that's owned by someone else.
yes.
So Darren, have you talked to that property owner of the residence?
We've sent them notice as we're required by state. I have not went out and spoke with them, no.
Okay, nobody's talked to him.
Basically, if you scroll down to the next page below, just as an example, oh, wait, maybe it's not, on the presentation that I gave you. This would be that presentation that I gave you. Oh, just below the color page though. Good morning, Wayne. This page right here, this is just a proposed plot plan. So we'd like to put the building on the southwest side, and as far as impact to the existing residents next door, I'm gonna leave all those trees and everything that's currently on that side between our building and that for the moment. It would be several more years down the road before we would ever come back to the city requesting the ability to expand our building.
So you're taking the whole 6 acres, but building over there in that corner for 10,000 square feet?
Yes. It also might help play out for what the district wants to do. I don't know if you're familiar with their plans, but they want to take all of that ground from the frontage road over to the hill. When they're done with their purposes on building the new reservoir, they want to subdivide all of that and turn that into available buildable paths for commercial sites. So I think if we get there and put up our building, it just helps them sell their product in the end.
Okay.
So, and Chairman, I don't know if you've read, if all the planning commission members have had the opportunity to read the staff comments on that. As we looked at the general plan, this plan designates as a commercial. The commercial is defined in the general plan as the following words there. This area supports the variety of commercial enterprises. This may include the highway commercial, the planned commercial, the light industrial, and the business manufacturing zones, or any other similar commercial-oriented zone. So that's the verbiage right out of the general plan for your consideration as well. So,
Okay.
as far as your question earlier is, we will need to, you'll need to table this until next meeting before you make a decision.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions for him? Okay.
Make a
That's great.
motion.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table until it's gone through the proper hearing, and we'll hear it back on the 23rd. Third.
Mhm.
Table it till July 23rd.
I'll second that.
Okay. Vote?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Can I, out of order, just say that if I can't make it on the 23rd, I'm inclined to vote in favor of this because I think it fits the character of the neighborhood and the general plan and the existing zoning. because it's already zoned highway commercial.
Mhm.
And this is, to me, this is a lighter impact than even highway commercial.
Even with a 35-foot barrier between that and residential?
Well, we are supposed to do what the general plan says, and it's commercial. And this, to me, this zoning fits right in with commercial. So, just.
Okay.
If I may just one last comment.
I-
I think that what we'll have is going to be less impactful than any
Yeah.
retail shop that will be open in the
Yep.
evenings or a gas station that's open all night.
That's what I think so too. It would be less impactful to the residences nearby.
I'm leaning that way too. Just FYI, I
Let's-
watched all the
let's not-
YouTube
let's not
videos that we were sent.
No,
Vote at this time, at this
No.
point.
I
Not
just don't know if I'll
supposed
be
to.
here next time, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that because our job is just to do what the code says.
and I'm sure we'll have Glenn probably here. Yeah, was he
If I
here in
can make it.
August? He was, right? Oh, no, 23rd. He won't. Okay, we'll still have a quorum though if we have everybody here. So.
I'll be here.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, let's move on to F4, discussion on the grading ordinance.
The attorney might have something, he kind of spoke that in his reports, but something for them at this point. Because right now, what you have in your packet is the current.
And I was hoping to get a red line copy of this, but it doesn't look like we got it, so.
Yeah, in terms of red line, that would be based on any changes to the ordinance. Like I mentioned earlier, the city council said, hey, we're fine with the policy being in there rather than adding in the policy requirements in the ordinance. So with that type of position, it wouldn't require a red line submission. The Planning Commission, in the past couple times this topic has come up, has discussed more of, I would say, residential or non-engineered grading type permit. That's where the discussions have been. More than welcome to continue those types of issues. If there's something from the discussions here on the non-engineered grading permits or the exempt status, we're welcome to incorporate that in as we bring a formal red line change. So far, there's just been discussion. I'm not aware of anything specific to change to the other items that aren't the engineered grading permit. And it might be there's very minimal red line changes
Okay,
because at this point, it doesn't appear we're incorporating the policy.
okay.
The other thing that has come up and we've confirmed is the council had asked the question whether or not there can be a bond for the
Yes.
long-term condition. And in short, the answer is the state of Utah passed a statute that says there cannot be a assurance for land, it wasn't landscaping, but state law prohibits essentially a landscaping type requirement where once you get the grading done, it's done. So that's why we're looking at policies and the ability to have our code enforcement step in and provide those assurances. It cannot be through a bond. So with that ask, with the state law, I would not recommend that type of bond be required. It would be
Yeah.
contrary to state
Yeah.
law.
Right, okay. Anyone have questions? Dave?
Yeah, just some comments. And Darren, before there were the bond, and that was pretty much answered. The other thing is the minor ones. I know there's a lot back and forth on cubic yards, cut, fill, and everything else, the requirements and the fees. Did we ever get a hold on that or straighten it out?
So Riker had made his red lines, so we're waiting to give that to you with the with the attorney's red lines as well. So we have both of that. We kind of talked about it in the last planning commission meeting. One of those was like you're talking about is the cuts, fills, those things in the engineered grading. The things such as that, and I apologize, I don't remember. It's been probably over 2 months since I've seen those red lines. I do remember one of them was for the permanent erosion control plan, of which the attorney's talking about making that as a policy. And rather than having a checklist inside the ordinance of this is required. So right now, if you go pull a grading permit right now, and we have a checklist inside of the application process, it's all electronic. And we're matching that. There was another one, and I don't know if the attorney or if you have any recollection of that other red line. There was only 2 changes that the city council had given to Riker. He made those changes a number of months ago. And I saw that red line just before Riker left. I have not.
Yeah, I think the other one related to a term of art like permanency or something along, there's a word like that.
It was basically a permanent erosion control plan, or there's another word that they added into the front of there, and I apologize for not having.
Perpetual, I think the word was
Perpetual, there you go. Perpetual. Continuous control plan.
The idea is they wanted to have the plan have force and effect once the grading permit is completed, the grading work is done, all the way to the point where there's a building permit pull or something's done. So there's requirements in place between those 2 events. I think perpetual was the word they wanted to have that in place.
So it was very minor. I can, with the attorney, when he gets his additional red lines, it'll be incorporated all into one document.
Okay. Well, this is for discussion only. We can't vote on it or anything, so I think we'll just wait until you guys are ready and put it on there.
So will we be seeing a copy of that on our next meeting?
It's possible. Daisy and I are going to be in our weekly staff meeting. We'll be sitting down and talking about it.
Okay.
With that meeting being moved up, do we still have the notice period, or what day would we have to?
Yes.
get
2
that
weeks
out?
from yesterday.
If we post on, I was planning on posting on Thursday, so
Yeah.
tomorrow.
That would give us enough time to meet that Tuesday.
It'd be nice to put this one to bed because it's been hanging on forever.
Yeah.
Between us and city council and you and, yeah. So, yeah, it would be nice to,
Hopefully this is the version that remains in place for a while. I know it's
Yes.
come up
yes, that would be nice.
year over year.
Well, we've dissected it a number of times, so it should, we would hope. Okay, so let's move on then to the next business item. F5, discussion on the Planning Commission Policies and Procedures Manual. This is what Jenny's been working on, and hopefully everyone had a chance to read through it.
So, Chairman, just as a point of interest, it's basically, it was this, I believe you sent this last night, I believe, to Daisy, an email. We were not able to get this into your packets because.
It's in the package, it's not the red lines.
It's in it.
My comments
What I meant.
weren't in the packets.
Yeah. So.
Because I had the permissions wrong. I had put them in 2 weeks ago and I thought I was sending the whole thing to her, but the permissions only allowed you to look at the document, not the comments and red lines.
Oh, I was.
So I apologize.
I got
for
them
that.
on my computer at home.
You could see the comments?
Yeah,
Could
off on
anyone
the
else?
side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could see it,
yeah, I could.
but you couldn't. That's weird.
Yeah, they're not in here.
Did you look at them today?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, I did it last night. I changed the
Oh.
permissions to make them more public.
Oh,
I thought they were public when I sent it, but
Oh,
that was,
So do we
I'm
just-
learning.
The rest of the commission hasn't had the time to review.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't.
Well,
I haven't seen it.
What I was thinking is if we could
I got
just
in, but I
budget like
never got
10 or
in.
15 minutes. I was thinking if we could just budget 10 or 15 minutes, we can go through the comments that I have. Because I only did the first 3 sections and I'll do a few more sections for the next time and we can just work our way through. Because it's too big of a document for us to go through the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
thing in one
Oh,
night,
yeah.
by far.
For sure.
And I didn't have a ton of huge comments, just a couple things to discuss. And it sounds like Daisy had some good responses to them. So the first, And part of this, the document's kind of messy because I only had a PDF, so I had to OCR it and then put it in Google Docs, which I could manipulate and show my comments. So, but my first comment is on page 5, down at the bottom. It says the Planning Commission and Chairman. And I don't hate men, but I was thinking we could change it to chair or chairperson instead of chairman.
Our Tokerville City Code references that as chairperson, so if you want to be
Okay.
consistent. we can do
Yeah,
that.
let's be consistent.
I like to
Yeah.
be consistent, so that's,
Because that was something Daisy and I talked about when I became the chairperson.
so I can control find all those and change them.
Okay.
The,
Then you'd have to change the next.
yeah. Okay, on page, like, there's a few little things that I just think are typos and grammar things. Do we probably don't even need to
No.
discuss those.
I don't think so.
My question on 2.2 on page 6 is, it says planning commission members are appointed for terms of 5 years. Is that correct? I
No.
thought we've been serving
No,
4
it's
years.
4, yeah.
Okay, so that I think we should update.
So you are making these updates, Jenny?
Well, I have notes of
Yeah,
them. So
she's-
do you want me to, like, once we're done going through the whole thing, I can share my commented one back with the attorney. They can put in any changes they deem legal. And then, is that a good workflow for
Yeah,
you
work through
guys?
staff. I work.
Or through staff? Okay,
So the process is the staff will give me the information.
Okay.
We'll sit down, talk about it, and then my comments are back to staff. So I just say, go ahead
Okay.
and submit your working document through the staff.
okay, so, and she can see it now, so. Okay, so that
Okay,
needs to
right
be.
here, wait a minute. I think, I was reading through, kind of comparing the Kaysville bylaws.
Mhm.
And in the Kaysville bylaws, when they're talking about appointing planning commission members, it says, the planning commission shall consist of 7, well, it's different, ours is different, but 2 alternative planning commission members may be appointed to assist in creating the likelihood of having a quorum present for meetings. All planning commissioners shall reside in Kaysville or Tokerville for at
Mhm.
least 1 year prior to their appointment and must remain residents of the city during the entirety of their term. And I think that would be a good thing to put in there, just the part about shall reside.
Yeah, so reside for 1 year and,
Reside for 1 year, at least 1 year prior to their appointment, and must remain residents of the city during the entirety of their term.
yeah, that's a great
Sounds
thing.
good.
I'll search it and make sure it's not already in there. I don't recall
Yeah,
seeing that. in
Yeah,
there.
I haven't gone
So-
through the whole thing, so it might show
remain-
up later.
Yeah,
A
we just
resident.
added that to our code as well.
What was that?
We added the members of the planning commission shall be current residents of the city throughout the duration of their service terms to the city code.
Oh,
To the
okay.
city code.
Yeah, on the city code, and I can
Okay.
pull it up right here.
But it doesn't hurt to have it in this document as well.
Yeah, we can
right?
make that
Sure.
consistent.
It should.
Okay.
Good suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's see, just everything else is.
Oh, I have something on page 7.
Okay, I do too. Might be the same thing. But go ahead.
I don't think it's the same as yours, but
Okay.
it's, and a paragraph that starts out, in addition, when a commission member is responding to a question, it is important to publicly note that a commission majority is required for any commission action when discussing the enforcement or interpretation of an existing city ordinance. Good judgment would include a referral to the appropriate administrative staff. I don't like the words "for final word." I would like for any
Further.
clarification.
No.
Instead of for the final word.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with that.
And that's consistent, like tonight, we've seen on the zone application, there's the staff recommendation, they've added their comments.
right.
So that idea of.
A
you know,
recommendation and clarification.
in administrative staff comment,
Yeah.
you just keep it comment if you want.
So
Yeah.
a referral to the appropriate administrative staff or comment.
Clarification.
For,
Or
any-
should I
Or
just
just
say-
staff comment.
for clarification.
I'll just
I
say
think.
clarification. Okay. Okay. And then down, it says, so this is at the bottom of page 7. It says, in addition to those stated in city code, planning commission chairman's powers are the following. It says, keep the peace and enforce the laws of the municipality. But that's not really the planning.
Yeah, I think that should be removed.
Yeah,
Just
I think
remove
we
it.
should remove that.
Yeah, I suppose-
Law enforcement.
I think they got.
Right.
Right, okay.
More has to do with city council than us.
I think our pay needs to go up if we're going to do that.
Okay, so I'm
Especially
gonna,
hazardous space.
Yeah,
we should
get
remove that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Where you get into 2.52 planning commission meetings and elect the chair and the chairperson, I think after when they're appointed and the new planning commission comes in, that's where you need to do the election, not the outgoing planning commission. That's not fair to the new planning commissioners and everything else. And that's how you guys did it last year. It shouldn't be outgoing planning commissioners electing the chair and vice chair. It should be all the new planning commissioners that are sitting on that year should do that.
So what you're saying is that when the changing of the guard happened,
Uh-huh.
who voted?
They did, the old planning commission voted for the new chair and vice chair, and then the new ones didn't have any say.
so,
However, that only we're only supposed to change a planning commissioner one per year. However,
Right.
we have three
We had a
going out
special,
this year.
yeah, we had a special circumstance.
Yeah, but it still should be.
so,
But how would you
Every
do that?
Every governmental on the first meeting.
Right,
of
okay.
Yeah, you
In the
just do
first
it.
meeting in January?
okay,
Every elected official, every
Makes
every
sense to me.
commission I've ever sat on or overseen, you do it on that first meeting.
so on the first line where it says elects one of its members to be the chair of the commission, should we just add that specificity that this should occur on the first meeting
of
in
the,
the
Of
new
the
year with
new
the
year.
new commission
2.1.
members?
Right.
In 2.1 is where it says it. It says at the last meeting of the calendar year.
Oh,
We just have to
2.1.
Yeah,
Oh,
2.1.
yeah, it already says that.
Yeah,
yeah, it
we
should
just need to
be,
change it to the first meeting,
I've never seen them do it at the end.
Okay,
You
so
do it at the
2.1 is where that needs to
first
be,
meeting of the new calendar year.
first of calendar.
January 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can't take effect January 1st. It has to take effect the first meeting.
first
Okay.
meeting. And every elected official and everything that happens after.
And one comment in terms of potential continuity, you could look at the chairman's being appointed, but you could also say chairperson-elect.
Yeah.
So you do the chair and the chair-elect. So the idea is that person for the year is in training mode. And then the next year, it'll be a formal appointment come January 1. Or I've seen it other ways where you have the immediate past president or immediate past chair would stay on. So you would serve in theory your second or third year, but you would stay on to be an advisor role to help give some continuity. Not required that way. There's great staff and training available through the state. But something to consider if you wanted to help bring some continuity, you could say, we're going to appoint a chair and then a chair-elect. And then they would just step into the role.
Yeah. Yes, Daisy.
Changing that would go against the current code that we have, so we have to change the planning commission ordinance.
What does the code say that the mayor appoints or just that it goes, that
The
it,
mayor appoints with the advice and consent of council.
Yeah.
But specifically here, the length of term, with advice and consent of the city council, the mayor shall appoint an interim. Oh, that's if we have a vacancy, arise.
Yeah. What are you on, Daisy? What number?
1031.
1031.
Oh, well, you're jumping way ahead there.
She's looking at the city code.
Oh,
look at the screens, you'll see it better.
Yeah.
But we did have under F, so 1031F, the chairperson shall be elected by the planning commission each calendar year at the last meeting of the year to take effect January 1st of the following year and shall be a full voting member of the body.
What does that mean, first, last meeting?
the
We meet just once a year, so it'd just be the last meeting in December.
Yeah.
But if you've met multiple times that year, like let's say the fourth week, that's when you would elect the chair person. But we meet once a month anyway.
Yeah, that's a little confusing. First, last
I'm just,
meeting.
First, last.
So the council, yeah, so the council meets twice a month, so it'd be at the first meeting that they would elect somebody if it was.
I see what you're saying.
Now, but the council doesn't elect the planning chair.
Yeah, it's the commission
The
that
planning
elects.
commission elects the chair.
that's just backwards in every governmental agency I've seen. You always have what your sitting board is gonna be that goes. And yes, they usually pass it down. Usually you use that training and everything, that's part of it. That's how government works.
So I'm fine with any changes you guys want to make, but it'd be ready to change our code.
I could see that. That's definitely a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be. And if you felt like you wanted to do a kind of a chairperson elect, also put that in the code that the planning commission is to appoint a chairperson.
Well, they do anyway, yeah.
Well, there's the pro tem, but that's a position to fill in if the
Yeah.
chair is not present.
Right.
I like your suggestion to have a chairperson elect, because I think it helps with
Mhm.
training
Yeah.
and just,
But
Like
the
you said, it's
chairperson
more
elect is
continuity.
not the pro tem, is what you're saying.
Doesn't have to be, no, it doesn't have to be.
But it makes sense that it would be pro tem.
It could.
yeah,
And why muddy the waters and put another position in there?
Mhm.
yeah, we'll just, yeah.
Well,
Call
it
it
could happen
chairperson
in my
elect.
case because I was only appointed 1 year and the mayor didn't like me, so he just might not reappoint me. And I'm the pro tem. And so next year I could be out. They would have to reappoint me because I only have 1 year.
You're filling the last year of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
position.
He didn't want me in here anyway.
Okay, so I put that we've got a recommendation that the new commission elect the new chairperson and then appoint a chairperson elect. And if we make that change, it needs to be a change to code as well. So I have a note of this. That's
And
good. These are all good
I
things.
don't want to change the code.
You don't want to change the code?
Well, it should be.
Maybe let's get through these first and then maybe that could be on our later.
It should be the
things.
same with the city council. When they
Okay,
pick a chairman, it's not the people going out, and that's where you get bad politics and dirty politics, because they make a deal before they leave. I've seen it too many times.
Mhm.
And then they put the people and they want to run it, and, because they're going out. So I've just seen that,
okay.
and I've seen them arrested for that.
Those are good thoughts. Okay, so if we are ready to move to page 8, up at the top, it says, there's a couple spots where it says, know how to courteously discourage commission members who talk too much or too often. Know how to courteously ensure those who have the floor are not interrupted and to rule out of order those who, but I think that we should just get rid of know how to
Me too.
and just say
Me too.
courteously discourage, courteously ensure, because
Yeah.
their job's not to know how to do it,
Yeah.
it's to do it.
Yes, I
Okay.
agree.
So-
I have one suggestion
Mhm.
for that area. There's a thing on the Kaysville thing that says the chair shall conduct all meetings of the commission, interface with the mayor in the conduct and affairs of the commission, and exercise management of the affairs of the commission consistent with these bylaws, ordinances of Tokerville City and state law. In the absence of the chair, the vice chair will assume the responsibilities outlined in this section and the bylaws. I think that's a good paragraph. I don't know if it appears somewhere else later in this document.
Can you show me which one? Because I think I have a copy of this at my house.
Yeah, I think you do too.
It does say, 10.3, Tocqueville City Code section 10.3.1 also sets forth powers and responsibilities. So if you guys want to be more specific. Yeah.
So it may be an opportunity for us to just look at it and see if it matches this and make it
Right,
consistent.
right.
Okay, so that's section 3.5 out of the Kaysville one, and then
Yeah.
I'll look at section 10.3.1 of the city code. And possibly add or make consistent.
Okay.
There. Okay, you have any more on page 8?
I do, but I don't know, they might appear later in here, because I haven't gone through the whole thing, I just kind of, so in the Kaysville one, they have a thing on conflict of interest. Is there something
There's,
on conflict of interest later in in this document?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
in
there
section
is.
4.3 in the
Okay.
ethical.
So they've got, and in here, it has
4 and
one
5.
about no member of the commission shall represent applicants or petitioners on matters on which the commission is to make determinations or recommendations, or anything like that in there?
Yeah, really, I don't know. We're just passing the information through. Jenny's kind of writing that.
Yeah.
So Jenny would have a better idea of what's in there.
And I haven't got to sections 4 and 5
But
yet, but
she
that's where the
has it.
ethics are.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
does say stuff about
So,
conflicts of
so
interest.
look at the
So I'll put a
4,
little
1,
note to look
2,
at
3, and
4.1
4.
for that. So look at.
Yeah, to answer that question, sections 5.2, 5.3 specific, well, 5.2 specific require withdrawal if there's a conflict of interest.
Okay,
So it's 4.3.
4.1, 2, 3, and 4.
5.2.
4.1 through 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a note of that. And so we're on page 9, grammar. Let's see. There's a few spots that say commission members, and I was thinking to be concise, we could say commissioners, but that's just
Yeah.
grammar stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
A couple other grammar things. Okay, at the bottom of page 10, under 3.2 records, it says the commission must preserve records for the required retention period in a format that preserves the integrity of the original record and is easily accessible. Any removal or deletion of comments or posts by the public must be considered public records and must be preserved pursuant to GRAMA. The commission must also work with the city recorder to ensure the records are properly retained. So when it says the commission must preserve records, is this like already stuff that we're already doing?
So your email is subject to GRAMA, as
Okay.
well as any, like if the members of the public reach out to you, send anything, those are records of the city. So if someone like GRAMA requests, things like that, send out an email, say, hey, do you have anything on this topic, please send it over. That will then get reviewed for as far as classification as private public controlled records, and then potentially, sent over in a response to that GRAMA request. So yes, you do need to preserve.
So don't delete all of our emails every time we.
Right.
Okay.
They're gonna call you Hillary.
I just think it wasn't clear enough. So maybe I'll add a little line about emails can be subject to GRAMA.
Let's just
So
say-
that is one of the ways that planning commissioners can.
You read that differently, that's how I read it.
No, that would be appropriate. And if you're wanting to look at that, I wouldn't try to reinvent the wheel. I think grandma, the statute, in terms
So
of.
there's enough reference to not.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, it might, you look down at 3.3 where it's citing section Title 63 G2. That might be enough. But with the idea that the commission is going to preserve its records as required by law.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay.
And to follow, in terms of comment, the next paragraph in terms of it's drafted, this is specific to how package can be uploaded, SharePoint. I think that's just more coordination between what the commission is looking for and the recorder
Right.
and how that's submitted.
Right.
I know, like this one, for example, didn't come out. It's really just on the Utah Public Notices website. Is that where you want to access it, or is it something that's uploaded through the city system? Because SharePoint may change in a year or two when something comes out. So if you could be more generic in like a file sharing service or
The cloud.
Well, I think that's what Daisy's doing right now is the Utah Public Notice website. So I think we can leave it as it is. And then if we update our method of delivery, we can update the procedures. Okay. I don't think I have any other, there's a few staff recommendations of things. I didn't have any concerns with any. I thought all their recommendations were good. So I put them in as little notes too, so you can see. Here in the social media policy, section 3.4, down at the bottom of page 11, it said, do not solicit the public's views on political issues you may be engaged in. But since it's in the social media policy, I'm assuming it means do not use social media to do that. Because I ask my neighbors and friends, what do you think about this? If we're going to discuss something, I'm going to talk to my mother-in-law about whether she can have chickens or not.
Yeah.
So I just added use social media to clarify that. Is that okay with everybody? I mean, aren't we okay to talk to people in town about what we're talking about? And
Yeah.
okay,
And I just assumed that meant. social
Okay.
media, but it's-
I just want it to be clear.
Yeah.
in writing.
So there are, so the league does some training on this as well.
Mhm.
Public Meetings Act and some of those things.
I know we can't all get together
Yeah.
outside of this meeting, but if I'm talking about like general public, they're just saying, don't do that on social media. Do it. Like, but it's okay to talk person.
You don't want to be collaborating through emails and things like that.
Yeah.
Either
Okay,
together.
okay.
That's a violation of the Open Public
And I
Meetings
think
Act.
we all have a pretty clear understanding of that.
Yeah.
I just want the
Yeah.
policy to be clear too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there.
Okay, so now, okay, we're to section 4, and I think that's as far as I got as far as comments that I have. Everything else, I think, is the staff ones so if we're okay pausing there until
Yeah.
we can look at
That's
sections, more sections later.
Yeah, definitely. It helps to take it in little chunks.
Maybe we could try for like 4, 5, and 6 next time. I'll try and get comments on there, and if anyone else has.
Not in 2 weeks, but in August, because you won't be here
Yeah,
next.
I may be here. I'm still trying to figure out a family thing, but
Oh, okay.
I may not, so.
Time sensitive, you just, let's see if we can get those before Thursday before the meeting. So we have them in
Okay.
everybody's packet. That way everybody's looking at the same document.
This is a lot of work.
Well, I
Good
won't
job.
change the permissions.
Holy smokes.
Now it's, like, everyone should be able to see it
That's a
in
big-
real time now.
That's a really big.
You're doing it.
Everyone does have this link so they can see her change it.
Yeah.
And as part of the public notice.
It'll be the PDF that
Any
you,
changes after Thursday won't be shown, but we can discuss in the meeting.
okay, that sounds good. All right, does anyone have anything else to discuss on the first 3 sections?
No.
Okay,
Well done.
Great.
thank you all.
Well
Great.
done.
Thank you, Jenny, for
Thank
your
you,
work on
Jenny.
that.
That's a
Hour and
lot
a
of
half.
work. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, we did good tonight. Okay, meeting, let's see, do I need to have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Adjourn the meeting.
I so
You
moved,
did.
or I second someone.
What, did somebody,
We all.
I'll make a motion to
oh, I
adjourn.
heard a second. Okay, first and second, okay.
Chairman,
Yeah.
you can make the motion.
Vote, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
7:29.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.